We'll kill baby
Yes,
Hitler,
yes.
essentially, to stop, Deadpool will do that, but and apparently Aziraphale would too. Hey, Litternet. It's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here talking about Good Omens, episodes 5 and 6, hence the finale.
Yes.
Episode 5 being the Doomsday option, and episode 6 being the very last day of the rest of their lives.
Yes.
Bum, 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 bum. Alright, so, yes, it finished. Had a few differences from the book, which we'll talk about, but generally speaking, finished kind of where the book did. Paul, your overall thoughts?
It was fine.
It was fine.
Yeah, I didn't love it.
Okay. What did you not, or in what way would you have loved it more?
I would have loved it more if I felt that, prognosticator, following the prognostication. Anathema. Yeah, was a more interesting character.
Okay.
I don't think she was very interesting as a character. And her love interest there, became her love interest,
Newton Pulsifer,
was also not. I mean, the actors I think are perfectly fine, but I don't think they got anything to play really. So that was disappointing.
I would say that they definitely paled in comparison to the relationship between Aziraphale and Crowley.
Yeah,
that's
I like shows with a number of characters that are strong.
I hear you.
And I mean, I could almost say, unfortunately, I kind of have the same feeling about American Gods. And I'm not even talking about the show as much as because actually what I liked about the show was really trying to dig into none of the characters. Like Shadow's wife really got a lot more emphasis in the show,
right,
than in the book. So I'm beginning to wonder about. I mean, I don't know. That's the only thing I've read of his.
So you're saying that like
Gods.
some of the subplot relationships seem superficial to you?
Yeah.
That's the idea? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. People like short stories and whatever. So I mean, in this medium, it's only like 6 episodes. So for that, maybe it's fine. But I would have liked that.
There was an American Gods Easter egg, by the way. The guard at the military base reading American Gods in his off time.
In the end, even though you got to wrap the story up, I kind of felt like it was a little too clean.
I would agree with that, and obviously, I mean, it is the way of the book as well. It is like they all meet at the military base. You've got the 4 horsemen, and then Satan shows up, and it's all kind of wrapped up really quickly.
Right? Because are we supposed to get the sort of the implication that the end result of all that is now the boy is normal?
That is an implication. The boy could be normal. Maybe the boy bamfed away his powers, but I think more to the point, I think that's he has the power to bamf away his powers. Is one of those chicken and the egg thing. I feel like he actually does have his powers still. I mean, we're jumping ahead a little bit here, but I will then bring up the idea that there is the possibility of a sequel. It's probably not going to happen. Neil Gaiman's like, we wrote the story, and that's the story we told. But he did say we were working on a sequel, if not for Terry Pratchett's untimely passing. The name of that was going to be 668, The Neighbor of the Beast. And it would have apparently revolved around more about the origin of angels and such like that, which obviously they put a lot more angels in the show version of this as opposed to the book version. Gabriel just mentioned in passing in the book, but so we go to heaven, we see a bunch of angels. So in some ways, maybe they were already doing what the sequel might have been in any case.
That's
but
interesting.
But so I would say the answer is no. But I think there was a quote from that somebody asked Neil Gaiman the question. He's like, "Well, we've done the thing, but sure, if people are like, we must have a sequel, I'd be an idiot not to make the thing that people want to pay for." So, but it sounds like this is it.
One and done.
But I enjoyed it a lot. But I see your point on the wrapping it up clean, especially. Now, obviously, it has a comedic feel to it, so it's not quite as, I mean, the stakes are there, but there's also this air of like, well, it's there's a silliness factor to it that makes it. Like, for instance, I'm thinking about like Game of Thrones, the long night where they had the big battle with the undead, and then it was all done.
Yes.
Like, wait.
Yes.
We finished it all
Yes.
in the course of a few hours, essentially, before dawn strikes.
Yeah.
That felt very clean in that way as well, and maybe in the case that was almost worse because there was no comedic satire about it. It was like, this is what's happening. But yeah, to that end, even satire or not, you would like maybe a little more of a it feels organic as opposed to like it's the end. Everybody's got to get together and we end it. But did love a lot of what I saw in this. Loved a lot of the quotes. They did. I mean, as I assumed Neil Gaiman would do, he puts big chunks of the book's text into this, which I really appreciated. One part that was added for the show that is not in the book is where Aziraphale and Crowley switch places. So at the very end, when they're being punished by their respective organizations, that is not in the book. And then they both get a punishment that the other one could survive. Yeah. You get the pillar of fire. You get the holy water. They survive those and then are basically left alone for a while by their superiors, which I liked it because it was it was kind of highlighting the fact that these are your main characters and we're gonna pay attention to them in this moment. I enjoyed what they did with Aziraphale and Crowley, and I think that is the highlight takeaway of this show. But story-wise, it's interesting. That notion I think I mentioned before of questioning authority kind of plays its way all the way through here, and the idea that there are these rules in place, but then at the individual level, there's ways to make a change.
Right.
And so you've got these kids that decide, no, that's not the way. Sure, the way things are, but no, we're going to make our own way. Now, kids killing, flaming sword killing I was like, whoa. And we had to go through some therapy, I assume, for Wensley. Yeah, I like that notion. And I think that's where Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman probably were in agreement that maybe these giant bureaucracies or big institutions, they're not perfect, and it's good to be questioned on a regular basis, that people need to keep these institutions from being so impersonal that they forget about the people. In this case, this war between angels and demons, somebody's going to win it, and they just seem to forget about the fact that there's humans involved. Like they're like ants. Like, oh, what? We're going to win. What are you talking about? And even that moment, I thought it was really interesting when it's like Crowley and Aziraphale have gotten to the military base, and it's time to kill the kid.
Yes.
To stop the apocalypse. And Aziraphale grabs the thunder gun and is like, I am going to shoot this child to save the world. And it's Miranda Richardson, because she's inhabiting the same body. She's like, nope. And it's up, it's that, again, forgetting humanity. You're so wrapped up in this thing and it shows you that even though Aziraphale and Crowley are, care more about humanity, they aren't human, and there is a separation there. Like, yes, we'll kill Hitler. We'll kill baby Hitler, essentially, to stop, Deadpool will do that, but and apparently Aziraphale would too. Some good quotes I liked. There was the one where Gabriel is upset that the apocalypse is not going to plan, and he says, God does not play games with the universe. And Crowley's like, where have you been? Which I liked that bit. I liked the notion, again, what we're talking about with the humanity, that we find out that Adam, our Antichrist, had his upbringing been different, he would have probably made all, because he can make his dreams become reality. So his reality would have been something horrible.
Yes.
But that he is neither evil incarnate nor good incarnate.
Sure.
He's what they say human incarnate.
Oh.
And they mentioned that they're saying that's the good thing. That being human incarnate means he's going to pay attention to humanity and not just this overall struggle. Which I liked. I liked the fact that when Newton Pulsifer and Anathema decide to burn the further prophecies. They get the further
You like that?
prophecies, and they're like,
You
and
like they did that?
he says, do you want to be a descendant all your life? In other words, like, are you just going to be beholden to these papers,
Right.
or do you want to create your own existence?
And you like that?
I like that.
I don't like that.
You don't like that? No. Why not? What's just because there's so much that could be gained. Like, you're throwing away so much knowledge.
Well, it's like, here's the thing. You'd think you could give it to, like, Lenny. You give it to him. Shadwell. He might want it. Yeah. Why you're damning anybody from doing it? It's like you could look at it as like, okay, this is the next apocalypse. You don't have to be the caregiver of it. You could bequeath it to somebody else. So, so I wasn't crazy about that. I mean,
maybe we cut to a shot and the pages were blank the whole time because she prophesied it would be burned. All right, you will burn this. You're burning
had to
it
have
now.
known that. They
okay.
Yeah.
A couple of other Easter eggs. Actually, one of our commenters mentioned, Laura Kay brought up that you can actually see Neil Gaiman in the episode in which there's Crowley is being Hester is talking to Crowley at the movie theater with the bunnies.
Oh, yes.
First of all, Neil Gaiman's voice is the bunnies. Second of all, Neil Gaiman's in the movie theater.
Oh.
So you see he's the one other guy basically in the movie theater kind of slumped over. You can't really see him, but it's him.
Okay.
So he makes an appearance. She also brought up the fact that in the Hamlet scene where we see Crowley and Aziraphale attending essentially the first rehearsals for Hamlet.
Yes.
Both those actors, Michael Sheen and David Tennant, both have played Hamlet. And apparently it was a bit of a sense of worry for the guy playing Hamlet to be like,
yes.
I'm trying to do Hamlet in front of these two guys. I thought that was kind of cool. I also noticed in the opening credits, basically have a whole bunch of clues for the show and the book. It throws in all the different characters. Anyway, the band shows up, the spaceship's there, the whales are there, and there's a shot where you see David Tennant, you see Crowley, and you see next to him this policeman's box, or it's a telephone box.
Right, sure.
Now I assume the main reason it's there is because he screwed up the phone systems in the beginning, perhaps, but obviously it's a reference to Doctor Who. It's not a blue box, but it's a. Plus, you've got this. There's a scene where one of the kids says, "Exterminate." That's how he's throwing out Doctor Who. Since Neil Gaiman wrote some episodes of Doctor Who, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I did actually like the moment. It's a very fun comedic moment. The origin of the episode name, the Doomsday option, is Shadwell. So it's Michael McKean, and he's been rescued, or he's recovering with Madame Tracy at her place, and he's like, he still thinks his finger is what sent Aziraphale off and banished him. He's like, and he's like, I'm the Doomsday option, and then he lays back on this bed at Madame Tracy's, and he's got like a stuffed unicorn around him, and he's in this place with all these little fluffy stuffed animals, talking about how he's the Doomsday option. I like that setting. I thought that was really, really cool. I also enjoyed the bureaucracy of heaven in that moment when so Aziraphale has, against his wishes, gone up to heaven thanks to Michael McKean, threatening him.
Yes.
And so it's like, you have to turn in your sword, and he's like, oh, my sword, and they're like, well, we'll take the sword out of your celestial wages. But again, I like that notion. I also like the rallying cry when in hell, when they're like, all right, demons, get ready. We're all going to go to the service, and we're about to fight a bunch of angels. Ready? Anytime now. We got to, what's that? Okay, never mind. I think we're all up. But like just that note, the pep talk to the demons that gets called off was good. The fact, obviously, that Newton Pulsifer, his ability to break machines is what saves humanity.
Yeah,
it keeps them from blowing up, themselves because the nuclear winter is avoided.
Right. Sure. I might have felt better if there was more explanation of why that was the case.
I hear you. It was kind of a. We'll preset the convenient plot device and then just bring it out. We introduced it before.
So, I would now like you to spoil the book for me.
Oh, Okay.
So how does the book end?
So the book ends very similar in terms of that sense of Adam is now in his alternate reality, or the new reality he's created, and he's stuck in his garden, and he decides to leave the garden. The idea of any apple worth eating is anyway. But yeah, so that bit where he leaves the garden, that's more of the end, as opposed to they do bring up the bit where a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square. That's the end of this one, where they're
okay.
That is brought up in the book a few pages earlier, but I believe it ends with Adam as opposed to ending with Aziraphale and Crowley, like the show does. So the nightingale sang in Berkeley Square it's relevant because it says there were angels dining at the Ritz. And it's about basically a magical night where these two people met is the kind of the idea of the song. And so it's relevant to Crowley and Aziraphale.
Sure.
Another thing that makes it kind of relevant is, I believe, when I looked it up, it was originally performed or created right at the outset of World War II. And so maybe he had this idea of the world's ending, and so again, at the apocalypse, perhaps there was a thought. I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's the way that the show ends. There is that reference and a nightingale did indeed sing in Berkeley Square. I think the reason that a nightingale singing in Berkeley Square is weird is because nightingales don't hang out in urban environments. You don't see a typical nightingale hanging out in London. And so it's like, whoa, there's a nightingale singing. I can imagine somebody carrying a nightingale and like, hey, look, it's singing. But anyway, no, it's magical. Much like angels dining at the Ritz, which is what they do.
There you go.
Boom. I did like that moment, too, where they kind of sum up their relationship, where it's like, I had this feeling that the apocalypse probably wouldn't have happened if you weren't in some way a good person. And then Crowley responds to Aziraphale like, and if you weren't just enough of a bastard to be worth knowing. I like the fact that, neither one of them, they both... neither one is 100% on their team.
Yeah.
Which, again, it has that idea of human incarnate. Maybe being around humanity kind of softened the edges on those two guys.
Crowley definitely seemed to be the more passionate one about the friendship.
Agreed.
At least in terms of them. I mean, it was his idea to go against the plan of how it is. I mean, part of me is still not... I mean, I'm mostly convinced that he was acting in good faith with Warlock by...
trying to be evil with him, basically? I'll teach you the evil lessons.
Yeah.
But no, that scene where he returns to the bookshop...
Right.
And it's on fire, and he's in the middle of fire, which obviously doesn't bother him. But he says that, somebody killed my best friend. Bastards, all of you, is what he says. He feels the loss of Aziraphale pretty strongly. That's his friend.
Yeah.
Which, it's an interesting take.
Yeah. It does seem like, I'm trying to pinpoint the moment where Aziraphale changed. And I guess it was after that final time up in heaven, I guess.
Yeah, when he decides to, go and inhabit the body of
because at least part of it, I was like, okay, he's not gonna really tell Crowley that he's discovered him.
Yeah, for a long time he didn't discover. You're right. He was like, I don't trust you, but changes his mind. I did like the way Miranda Richardson did the being possessed thing. I liked her voice and such. The way she pulled off her version of Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost, I guess. But I thought it was a fun turn. We had you can never go wrong with a bunch of soundtrack by Queen. See Exhibit A, the movie Highlander. Here we go. Woo! So Highlander, Good Omens. The best movie ever and the best TV show ever.
Oh, yeah.
All because you put a bunch of Queen in there.
There you go.
No, but that's fun. I had no problems with more Queen in soundtracks. Wayne's World. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Good Omens. We will be talking very soon about Legion. It's coming out in the next week, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So we'll be back chatting about that. Also, Stranger Things 3 is going to drop.
Yeah.
We will probably talk about that as well, I would think. It's always weird,
We'll
those
see.
binge shows.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh.
Sometimes we don't go back.
Yeah, it's like, oh, even this show, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, it dropped, whatever, 4 weeks ago. But, hey,
we finished it.
we finished it. Yay, completists. So, anyway, come on back for that. And, of course, more Tolkien nerdiness. So, thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.